Hello and welcome to the next instalment of Meet the Herd. Today is the Grey Lady. We're going to tell you all about who she was, what she thought about being on a track system, and any other bits and pieces that we think might be interesting for you. Make sure to stay tuned and stick to the end, where you actually find out what her actual name was and how she has inspired my business. So the Grey Lady. She was a gypsy cob, an actual traditional gypsy cob, bred by gypsies and used for driving. I believe that was her primary use when she was younger, and from what we saw, she really enjoyed it. She was 7 years old when we got her, and she was grey and absolutely lovely, beautiful feathers. She was about 1 hands high. We got her originally because we had the Major, and we were thinking about moving him somewhere to have as our own bit of land, our own corner of the countryside, and we thought it wouldn't be fair to have just him. We're not fans of having animals on their own, especially when they're herd animals like horses. So we decided that we were going to find him a friend or a girlfriend. One of my friends from the livery yard that we were at the time said that she had a friend who was selling a beautiful grey cob, so we went along to see her. We saw this beautiful grey cob at a stud farm. I went to see her, and she was this beautiful little thing with a bit of an attitude. I was like, yes girlie, we can get on with this. So I did a little bit of a test ride on her, and I felt absolutely amazing. We bought her. I kept her at the same livery yard. Both her and the Major by that time were now on partial livery, so that they weren't part of the riding school anymore, which suited me down to a T. They were mine, and they were together, and they got on like a house on fire, really inseparable. So they were really great. And when we decided that we were going to move up here to Shropshire, it's a funny story actually. We went to put the Major in the horse box first because we had a horse box, not a trailer. We rented one, and the Major refused to go in unless his girlfriend was near him because he was afraid that we were getting rid of him. So it was a bit of a drama to get him in. As soon as he was in and the partition was in, he was screaming and shouting. And what had happened, my boyfriend at the time had taken the Grey Lady off to the side that she could have some grass and be out of the way. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, get that girl over here now, my boy's having a hazy fit. So I bring her over, and he calms down. She goes onto the horse box, lovely. All of my herds have always been able to go in a box lovely, and it's never been an issue, which has been awesome. So they got her into the horse box as well, shut it up, and off we went. And it was interesting, shall we say, because the entire time the Major's face was in the back window of the horse box, and he was just like staring at me because I was glued to the bumper of that horse box, because I was like, that's my children, I am going to keep an eye on them, nothing's going to happen to them, and look buddy, I'm here, you're not going to lose me. And every now and then you see the Grey Lady sort of peek out and be like, are you coming too? Oh good. And then just be absolutely fine. And they came here, and it was awesome, and things happened. So so she had always been barefoot. Typical gypsy cob, never had shoes on, and that was fine. That worked for her, and never had any issues whatsoever with her feet, which was great. The problem that we had with her, though, unfortunately, was that before we'd had her, she had had 2 foals. Presumably one while she was still with travellers. From what we understand, it was a little boy. And when she went to the stud farm where she ended up, she had a little boy at foot as well. So she'd had 2 male foals from what we understand, but unfortunately during her last foaling she had a tear in the uterus, and it caused an abscess. She didn't want to take the medication. She took it for about a week after her operation, and then said, nah, I don't want any more. which caused the vet to be a little bit concerned. We tried the various things in her feed to try and get her to eat it, the peppermint oil or all sorts of things, and apple juice and things, and she just wouldn't take it. She was one of those horses that could smell a single drop of medication in an entire bucket of feed. So we quickly learnt to respect what she was saying, and in that I then started to look at herbs, because I was finding that on our trips out, of when I would take her out for a stroll, because obviously that would stimulate her leg, help push out any further fluid, that she was handpicking bits and pieces out of the grass as I'd stop to let her have a munch on the verge and things like that. And I started to take note of what she was eating, and I started to think, oh, I wonder if she's eating that for a reason, because she's beelining for that plant, or she's avoiding that plant for a reason. I wonder why it is. And I did my research, and she was going for things that are anti-inflammatory and things like that. A little bit of chamomile, I believe, was on the side, and a bit of the odd plant here and there that was just helpful. And obviously there was cow parsley, so it helped her stomach. So I think the medication that we've been trying to get down her had obviously burnt her stomach slightly, which medications quite often do. Bits and pieces like that. So I thought, right, okay, maybe we can go down the herbal route. And if you've watched the Majors Meet the Herd video, you'll see that, or you'll hear that we started to work with Gary Hinton. Gary Hinton was also looking at zoopharmacognosy. Now, obviously you're there and they're doing the feet, and you have a little bit of chat here and there, don't you? And he was just casually mentioned it. I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because my girl seems to be handpicking what she wants, and perhaps there's some herbs that can help out. Do you have any suggestions? He's like, I can do a full session with her and she can actually tell you what she needs. Like, awesome. So we did a full zoopharmacognosy session with him, and all of the things that she was selecting were anti-inflammatory, pain relief, detoxing, stomach cleansing, all those things that showed that a system was not happy and that there were things that it needed help with. Great. So we continued along that route and kept giving her things to boost her body, such as barley grass and rose hips to just help her body be 100%, and also things like German chamomile to help take down the inflammation and things like that. And that went really, really well for her. Unfortunately, when we moved, I had a distinct lack of funds, which meant that I did have to stop buying them for a while, which I think didn't help her. But with that, we changed vets as well, and they had a slightly different view of how to do things, and yeah, she deteriorated, and unfortunately we had to have her put to sleep not long after we'd been here, probably about, I don't know, 5 months after we'd been here. So where I'm sat right now is where she's buried, and this is her plant. Each of the herd are going to have a plant on to mark their graves, and the Grey Lady's is a willow plant. The willow is one of the plants that she quite often found and selected herself. I've got a really good picture actually of my mother in a tree or on a fence pulling down willow trees for her. I will be doing oh yes, there is a video about willows, isn't there? So go check that out. I'll link it in the description box below so you can see why it was so beneficial for her and why I've used it as a marker for her grave. And yeah, so every time we come up here, we're in the Cotsfield at the moment, we just say, hey girlie, hope you're all right there. And it's just been absolutely amazing to see her willow grow. We've had to restrict it so that the herd can't get at it because they like it, because obviously it's a medicinal plant. So we're hoping that that will grow and be a great memorial for her, and yeah, hopefully the herd will really benefit from the plant. So that, in a long story, is all about her. When we had her, she was on bucket feeds, which was the Thunderbrook muesli, because she really, really liked that and she needed what was in there. Her position in the herd was always head mare, and she was an incredible head mare. She obviously was the Major's wife, of what we referred her to, and when we had the youngsters first got them, particularly with Egypt, she was definitely the mother figure. So I have this distinct memory, because obviously she'd had young foals who were boys when she was obviously younger. She knew how to deal with colts. So when the Egypt would get boisterous with her, she would put him in his place straight away, and we constantly wonder what he would be like if he'd had her firm but maternal hand for the past few years that he's been growing, because we reckon his character would be different. But at the same time, if we'd done that, we wouldn't have Midnight, and obviously there'll be a video about her, so you can see why she's also so important to us in our herd. But she was always firm but maternal. I have this distinct memory of Egypt in one of the stables, booting out the doorway, like, "You can't come in here, I'm having this hay net to myself." And I just had she just walked along. She was getting kicked by him, and she was like, "You think so, do you?" Turned around, calm as you like, booted one good kick behind her, caught him in the thigh, and he went, "I'm so sorry," and went in the corner and was just like, "I'll eat this hay net, do you want to join me?" And that was just the kind of mare she was, just like, "I don't think so, young man. Now this is why." She was a lot of inspiration behind us looking into zoopharmacognosy, into herbs and how they benefit horses, and as a result of that was also the reason we got into doing the track systems we like, so Paddock Paradise track systems. So when we first got her, I think the summer after I got her, I did up my first track system and she was on it, and she suffered from sweet itch. So the first year I had her, the first spring I had her, she got bitten something rotten and had a really bad allergy to it, and just it wasn't great for her. That together with the abscess, her body was in overdrive. So I looked into track systems, and the summer afterwards she was on her first track system with the Major, and she loved it. She loved that she could walk around, and when the flies were really, really bad and obviously a sweet itch would act up, she would go marching round and round and round the track, which was great exercise for her, great for the abscess to obviously push the fluid out. The exercise would push the fluid out of her abscess, and it also meant that she was moving, so the flies wouldn't land on her that often. It was absolutely amazing. It really benefited her and was just exactly what she needed at the time. So as I've mentioned, her favourite herbs to have were barley grass and rose hips, the German chamomile, and also willow. So she responded really, really well to zoopharmacognosy and was absolutely pivotal for us, especially towards the end, in making her more comfortable. That was the Grey Lady, and as I mentioned in the start of the video, the Grey Lady wasn't her actual name. Her actual name was Wilma. So she was Wilma in her passport and Wilma by name, and Wilmy for short. And the Will of Wilor for Naturally Wilor. So there you go. So you now know her inspiration of my business, i.e. her insistence on having plants rather than medication, her enjoyment of the track as well, and also the will of Naturally Wilor. So there you go. So you've now met two of the herd. Check out our next video when that comes up. It won't be too long for you. So click on that subscribe button and the little bell icon so that you get a notification as soon as each of those videos are uploaded. Also give the like button a prod if you're enjoying getting to know the herd, and pop a comment below letting us know which fact in this video has surprised you the most. Check out the Facebook page where there's more information and you get to see the past posts about the Grey Lady or Wilma. Check out the Instagram, we're naturally_Wilor, and obviously the YouTube channel as well. We are also looking at podcasts, so go over there and check us out over there. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.